right, you're still watching Global Morning, and it's now time for us to look at what the papers are saying this morning, looking at the big stories making the rounds on Nigeria's national dailies. And our guest, who is joining us via Zoom, will help us look at the thumping stories. We've got the Director of Economic Analysis and Tech Solutions from the Economic Growth and Development Center. He's not a person, but Onyekunle Adesoyon, who will be helping us to look at the papers. Good morning, Onyekule. Nice to have you join us. Onyekule, good morning.
Good morning, Anthony.
Yeah, thank you very much for
Good
joining
morning.
us within this short notice. So glad to have you join us. Let's look at the papers. Before we get into the other issue of looking at the economic growth and economic implications of reopening our borders, let's begin looking at the papers. We're going to start with the Vanguard newspaper. The headlines there says, abductors demand 1 billion naira, vow to kill victims in 20 days. That's one of the headlines. We've got teachers' welfare packages is the kicker. Government requires 345 billion naira to pay monthly salaries. We've got Tinubu to governors. It's time for governance. Let's set aside our political differences. Then we've got Port Harcourt refinery will deliver petrol in 2 weeks, says KRA. Then we've got Benue is the kicker here. Armed herdsmen kill 147 in 2 months. That's some of the headline stories there. Then we've got alleged 3.7 trillion naira budget padding. Atiku joins fray demands probe. All right, Oyekule, let's begin with abductors demanding 1 billion naira, vow to kill victims in 20 days. We're talking about 287 Kaduna students. For you, what do you think is the best move for the government? Already the president has said he's not going to pay a dime for the release of the 287 pupils and teachers kidnapped in Kajuru in Kaduna State.
Okay, thank you so much, Anthony. It's sad to start with. Is a sad thing to hear that kidnappers are now making such huge demands for the release of the people that were abducted, and this shouldn't be the case. To look at it, to start from let's look at it. This should not happen, but it has degenerated to this level, and that is why they are requesting for this amount. What an effrontery that the kidnappers will be demanding as much as 1 billion before they can release the victims. It's pathetic, and which shows how our security has degenerated, and it is not a good thing at all. I just need to put this out there. They've grown so big, and it's more like an industry now that has grown so big, and they have their country to be making demands, and as much in billions is outrageous and is absurd. So this we need to do something quickly about that. President Tinubu, he came in on the mandate of security. He's going to improve our security. Then this is not doing. You can imagine there was a report that came out about when these children were abducted. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu went ahead to commission an airport, and this should not be at this period of time. When your citizens are kidnapped, these are human capital that are being kidnapped. These are the future of this country that are being kidnapped, and you're going around opening an airport. It seems more like a misplacement of priority.
All right, well said. Let's look at teachers' welfare packages. Government requires 345 billion to pay monthly salaries. Are you worried that when it comes to very important issues in the health and education sector, as much as paying teachers' salary, the government seems to always drag their feet? That's when they begin to, display how much money it's going to cost. But when it comes to buying some vehicles and luxury items, the government seems not very perturbed.
Well, you have said it all, Anthony. It just shows our priority, the misplacement of priority. We are supposed to prioritize education. We are supposed to prioritize health. But you find out that that is not the case here. People are talking about buying cars that you are even spending the money, you're not pouring it back into the economy, you're taking it out of the economy. They don't see anything wrong. They come out to defend that boldly. But when it comes to education, when it comes to health, you find this kind of argument. And we are not even doing anywhere close to the UN recommendation for the budget on education. But you find out that teachers are not, when it comes to the people that are actually delivering the education to the people, we don't seem to place much priority on their welfare, on how they deliver their jobs. So that's why you find, and this we keep going around on the children. It means you're not going to be teaching them the way they ought to be taught, because the teachers are not happy. So they go to their classes, they are grumbling. They go to the classes, they are not happy. How do you expect to deliver maximally doing their job? So these are the things. It's just a misplacement of priority, to be straight about it.
All right, can we say it's good news? Port Harcourt Refinery will deliver petrol in 2 weeks. Says Meli Kyari, the NNPCL chieftain. Is that good news for Nigerians?
Well, any news in that regard is a good news. We are hoping, because I just like the report came out, they are giving them about 450,000 barrels of oil. So we believe when that is done and when that is refined and we'll be able to get that out, at least it will help. Because if you observe in Abuja this week and late last week and early this week, you've experienced scarcity, and some of us will keep wondering why the scarcity. You have increased the pump price that you want to increase. You have lifted up the fuel subsidy. So why are we still having this scarcity? But with this news, we believe that this will help the supply side of fuel. So it's a good news for us.
All right, let's look at other issues making the rounds, and let's move on to, we've got the Daily Trust now up next for review. We've got instructions by National Assembly Legal, says Bagudu, and but that's talking about this budget pardon. The Minister of Budget and National Planning, Abubakar Bagudu, had come out to say yes, the presidency did, submitted 25 trillion naira budget, but it was upgraded to 28.7 by the National Assembly. How do you refer to that increase? He said it's an upgrade, not padding. Do you think this is simply a case of a witch hunting, or someone strailing out of line and being punished?
Okay, thank you. To start with, this is not the first time they are doing that. We have been following the trend, and we have been following the budget process. You discover that this is not new. We are used to it, and in a way, there has been reports from unconfirmed sources that what they do there is they negotiate for what is better for them. What I mean by what they do is the National Assembly members, they look at what they can gain. Is all about, mostly the way the news portray it is more like of a personal interest overriding the general interest. So you see the budget paddling or the upgrade, whichever language you decide to go with, is not new. It's not a new thing that we are experiencing in the country. We have been experiencing it. But actually, to also say this, it is not out of their constitutional right to do that, or duty. They have the right to do that, to look at it, and that is one of the reasons they are there. One of the reasons they are there, rather, to look at where the fuel is under budgeted for. They can actually review that price, review the budget upward. So, but in many cases, this is not the upward review is not about the general interest of Nigerians, but you find out that some people political interest are lying up there. So, and we have said that, like Professor Magnus Wacker used to say, the political interest and the economic factors, the players, they need the political players and the economic players, they need to come together to a roundtable. They need to have this discussion and allow things to go the way it ought to. Because if we don't do that, we'll continue to, we'll come back here and start discussing this, and we will not have the desired result that we want. Because the budget is actually supposed to be the determinant of growth, and it's supposed to be a key factor in moving a country forward. But when we look at our budget, the implementation and all those things, you find out that we are not really hitting it. Because look at 2023, the year, for the year, we just had about 2.74% growth. And what does this mean? This means it will take Nigeria over 36 years to be developed if we go at this rate, and that is not what we want. We want it to be faster, maybe in the next 10 years. If you are talking about the next 10 years, then it means we are targeting a 10% growth rate every year. So, and budget is one way to drive this. And if at this level, all we are hearing is a self-interest overriding the general interest, the country's interest, I don't think that this is a good thing.
All right, still looking at the Daily Trust and the big stories there. We've got Tinubu Rights National Assembly demands reenactment of a Student Loan Act. Are you disturbed the back and forth as regards this student loan, which should have kick-started in last year, in 2023? It was pushed forward to January of 2024, only for the last couple of days, the federal government coming out to say that it has been postponed indefinitely. Now we hear the federal government is writing to the National Assembly to, there was a reenactment of the Student Loan Act. What does this tell us as regards how the government gets its job done, not doing proper groundwork before, coming out to the public to, profess a policy?
Okay, thank you. I can tell you this, that I don't think the government did not do its job in terms of, what I mean by the government is the executive didn't do what ought to be done in terms of conceiving this idea, in terms of putting this idea together, and in terms of submitting it to the Senate. But I can tell you that there are some political influences that is affecting this, that is something that is common in this country, and that is what we keep experiencing. So this is the reason we have this back and forth. Although they can target many names in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of the framework, but at the base of it all, you find out that there are some political interest in this thing, and it's sad because this, like you said, this should have kick-started, and should have helped a lot of students, Nigerian students, to further their education for those that are interested and those that qualify to be there. But we keep saying this, where's the patriotism of Nigerians, of our leaders? They need to be patriotic in whatever they do. They need to think of the country first, and not what they get, and not what comes to them first. So if that is a major reason. Now, this program is a beautiful program. However, the sustainability of this program also comes to mind. How can we sustain it? It's not just to start a beautiful program like this, a good program like this, but we should be thinking of how to sustain it. And that is where I am not too sure if the arrangement we currently have gives room for sustainability, because the way we intend to go about it, it doesn't really, the sustainability infrastructure is not really there. So I just think we can readjust that and make sure that it's sustainable, because some countries have tried it in Africa, and you find out that it succeeded for some number of years, and before you know it, failed again. And at the base of that is also the sustainability of it. It was not sustainable. So we need to start having programs that are sustainable. It's not just, let's roll out this program, let's roll out this, let's roll out that. Yes, it's good, you can roll out programs, but you should also think ahead. The next 50 years, will the program still be active? Are people going to be benefiting from this program in the next 30 years, in the next 50 years? So that should also be a major point of consideration when conceiving ideas like this.
All right. One of the new the act that the government is asking the National Assembly to reenact is for offenders, jail term for offenders of the loan. Do you think that will be too harsh if a jail term is prescribed for those that would not be able to repay these loans?
Hello. Okay, I think I lost you for a moment, but
Okay,
if I get you right,
I
you're talking
said
about
the
the jail
government
time.
is seeking the reenactment of the Student Loan Act, and one of the high points is jail terms for the offenders, as those that will default in payment. There's going to be a clause where there's going to be a jail term. Do you think that is fair enough for something that has to do with
Well,
student loan?
for me, that is something that is what they have put in place to make it sustainable, to make sure that people repay the loan. The JTM is not bad. Actually, this is what I used to say. This is my own view now. You don't want to take a loan with the mindset that you are going to default. You are not, except if you are afraid that from the onset, by taking this loan, you are prepared to default. But if you are not prepared to default in repayment of this loan, I don't think that should be a major problem, because there are modalities for paying back, and if you don't pay back at a particular period of time, there are still there are still some buffers you can make use of. There are still some things you can do. So this is outright refusal. So I think at this point, for me, I think it's not. I don't think anybody should wait till it gets to that point where the person is being jailed before you pay back the loan. That's just my view about that.
All right, let's quickly go to the Punch and see what the Punch is telling us at this one. We have some interesting stories. Nigeria leads ECOWAS members devote on 150 judgment is one of the headlines on the Punch. We've got bandits demand 1 billion naira for 287 people's issue March 27 deadline. And we've got Amoteku heightened security in Oshun boundary communities is another headline there we have. And on the top, we've got Senate reviews 30 trillion naira loan documents, summon CBN officials. And we've got Facebook, Netflix, Google, others pay 3.2 trillion naira tax, says MBS. All right, let's just quickly look at Nigeria leads as ECOWAS members default on 150 judgment. How sad is it that Nigeria, being a very strong member of the ECOWAS, have continually not, adhered to the judgment by the ECOWAS court? And what does this do
Well,
to the body's integrity?
yes, like you rightly mentioned, we when it comes to ECOWAS, Nigeria play a key role and a major role. And in terms of the integrity, it means we are not placing much importance to what is coming up from the court. And you have seen that not only at the level of ECOWAS, even within the country. In the past, we have president that the court will say this, and the president will refuse, outright refusal to 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 yield to the instruction of the courts. So this is it is just a shame that we are taking this outside the shore of the country now, and it there's a way it rubs off on our image, where the way people see Nigerians, that's why most of the people don't take us serious. Say, oh, Nigerians they don't obey rules, they don't follow rules, they don't. Whenever you have an issue, even if you go to the court, is not resolved when it has to do with Nigeria. So these are some of the things that we face out there. For some of us are trying to pitch to investors to come into Nigeria. These are some of the things they tell us about the rule of law, that Nigerians, we don't actually follow the rule of law. And when it's time to even enforce that rule, nothing will be done. And that is what we are experiencing at this point. So it's sad that we as a country, we are doing this now. It's sad. And I think the president, I want to admonish President Tinubu to quickly do something about this, so that before it gets too bad, and we'll start looking for how to bring it up, how to bring it before it drags the image of Nigeria downward. We start thinking of how to bring it back up. So this is an opportunity for us to start setting the record straight and start doing the right things as it ought to be.
All right, we cannot but still weigh in on this bandit demand 1 billion naira for people's issue March 27 deadline. Do you think is worth the risk of daring the bandits who have said on the 27th, if monies they want do not come, they're going to kill their victims? Is that not worrisome? And should Nigeria also probably at this point take the offer of Sheikh Gumi, who says he can lead the negotiation between the federal government and the bandits?
It is worrisome, like you said. They've even given us a deadline. You can imagine bandits giving a whole country deadline to make a payment. And personally, for me, I'm not in support of negotiation, because in the past we have negotiated, and this demand keep increasing up to what we have now. You can imagine we have been negotiating in the past. This is not a time to negotiate. This is a time to take a stand and put an end to this thing. The military guys, the military personnel, they know where these people are. That's the truth, because they have enough intelligence. We cannot say intelligence is the problem. They gather a lot of intelligence, and they know. But like I said, it's the political will to end it. Somebody has to take that decision that we want to end this thing now. And if that is taken, you will discover that we will end it. Because if you interact with military personnel that have been posted to these regions, they will tell you that they know. Some of them will tell you their superiors, the superior officer will instruct them not to engage. You're seeing people, you see threats you're supposed to eliminate, or whatever you need to do. The instruction comes, the directive comes, don't engage. And at that point, what will you do? You are supposed to obey the last order for them. That is what it is. So this ultimatum, it should not happen for me. I would say the military should, for once, they should be patriotic. Let's go all out and end this menace. And it's because some people are benefiting from this. That is why you find it still lingering, because if not, we can actually resolve it. Because these are the same military personnel that go out there for peacekeeping missions, and they come back with a lot of awards, with a lot of accolades, but right under your own nose, we can't do that. So it tells you that there's a problem, and the problem has to do with patriotism. Some people are benefiting from this. So Nigeria should not negotiate with any terrorist or any bandit. So I think we should take a stand, which is, you cannot hold us ransom. For whatever reason, you cannot hold a country ransom. So they should activate the intelligence they have. They should swing in, because it's not about we don't have enough weapons to fight it. They have these weapons to do it. You have the drone technology, which they have. You have the satellite to even pinpoint these guys where they are. If you say, okay, our satellite, something is wrong with that, why not liaise with other countries that have full coverage? You can handle. I just believe that the political will is not there. If the will is there, we would have ended this.
All right, let's wrap our conversation up with the headline. So, Senate reviews 30 trillion loan document, summon CBN officials. Let's look at this Ways and Means loan that was gotten from the CBN, the Anchor Barrels loan also. Do you think this 10th Assembly is doing the right thing, trying to probe to know how those monies were expended? And the CBN officials have been summoned. Do you think we're going to get anything positive from these probes?
Yes, I think it's the right step in the right direction, because when that was happening in the Ways and Means, I remember listening to the IMF person, and she said Emefielean, the Emefielean law, or Emefielean way of dealing with the economy, or Emefielean method of tackling the monetary issues in a country. And this shows that the Ways and Means, it wouldn't have been a problem if the money printed were used productively. But you find out that if they claim it's productively used, then the result, we should have a result. But as it is, we don't have a result. The anchor borrowers program you're talking about, most of them going into rice production. You and I know what rice is going for now in the market. So where are these things? Where are the produce? What is happening? So which means that there's a need to probe it. There's a need to probe that, because some economists, even myself, I was against the printing of money, because we also what happened in the days of Indiami those days, and we were going towards that direction, and some of the effect we are still reaping now, because the inflation, the exchange rate, you can not just be printing money like that. Because you need money, you start printing money because you have a printing press. And I think I personally support that. We should probe that and see where these monies have gone, and if there's a way we can recover, we should recover as much as we can, because we need this money back into our economy. Because, like some people have suspected, that this ends in the pocket of very few people, and this should not be the case. So I think I support that. Let us probe. Let's probe this, and not only that. So we should move from the CBN to other sectors where money are being allocated. Monies are being allocated. We should ensure that we probe to be sure that these monies are judiciously used. They are used for what they ought to be used for. So, and in all of this, we cannot leave aside the human capital. The human capital development has to be in place. If people needs to be trained to know that whenever they give you money, you don't just, it's not a time for you to start gallivanting. The money has been earmarked for a particular project. We should ensure that this project are executed, and not just finding it as a way to amass money for yourself and the few people around you.
All right, I want to say thank you very much for joining us on the paper review. We'll go for a very quick break. When we return, hopefully we'll still have you rejoin us so that we can look at other issues, the growth and economic implications of reopening our borders to Niger Republic. That will be after this break. Stay with us.